Hello and welcome to the Fit Fatherhood podcast. Hope everybody is having a good day, good night. Nathaniel, thank you so much for coming on again every Tuesday.
Oh yeah. Thank you for being here with me, brother. I look forward to these, even though I'm exhausted right now.
Yeah, I feel you too. I know we were before we started recording, you were like, after dinner just hit me. And I was the same way. I was driving home from work and it was just like, I don't know, it's just one of those days where I don't
Yeah.
know. The weekend's supposed to be restful, but I feel like sometimes it's more tiring. But yeah, I feel the same way. But we're gonna power through it. This is something I look forward to as well. Some topics that I love talking about. So let's jump into it. We're in week 2, day 2 of week 2 in our Fit Fatherhood 5-week challenge. This week our focus is all about water and goal setting. We're going to start talking about water first, what it does, how it's helpful. I think we all know why it's helpful, but kind of specifically, I think answering the biggest question is the biggest question that, even me and you debated on how much and what counts and all that stuff, because our challenge is drinking a certain amount to get a certain number of points. So I want to cover how much we need to drink, cover the coffee/caffeine question that comes up a ton. I've always gotten it. I know it was a question that we got asked as part of this challenge. So want to cover all of those. Do you have anything to add before I jump into any of that?
I might have a piece at the end here
Perfect.
of your little thing, but no, yeah, water's super important. Let's see what you have for us tonight, Zach.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, a couple of main functions. First of all, it kind of helps regulate the body temperature. It helps aid in digestion and transport nutrients, right? Our body's made up of 55 to 60% of water. So, even just the slightest bit of dehydration will start affecting cognitive function. It'll make you a little nauseous sometimes, right? If you're ever hungover, right? Most of the time it's because you're dehydrated, you're drinking alcohol, which actually does dehydrate you. And it's a diuretic, so you pee a lot and then you don't replenish it with something that's going to stay in the body. So lots of big important roles for it. And I think even like a 0.5% dehydration will start really making significant impacts. So talking about how much water do we need? That's always the big question. Like, oh, like how much do I need to actually drink? So in general, you need 100 ounces of water a day. Now, about a third of that, really it's 3 liters, 100 ounces. A liter of that, or about 30 to 35 ounces, will come from food naturally, assuming just in general, right? There's water in everything, especially if you're eating lots of vegetables, lots of fruits, right? You've got tons of water in that. So about a third of it will come from your food. So we're looking at a minimum of 2 liters, which is about 60 to 65 ounces. And that's bare minimum. Like that's what I would be shooting for. That's how you would feel good throughout the day. And that's assuming you don't do like 60 ounces in the first 2 hours of the day and then not drink anything else for the rest of the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just balancing that out. But that's usually what we shoot for. Now, I know the thing is, and we've had this come up in our school community where someone's like, well, I don't really keep track of it, or I don't usually keep track of it. And we'll talk about a couple of ways to kind of make sure we don't get dehydrated. But like it can be a lot of work, right? You have enough things going around, dealing with make sure the kids are ready for school. And you don't want to be like, all right, I checked off. I drank a water bottle at 9 o'clock, and I drank another one at 1. So I'm hitting my amount. Like no one wants to really sit there and keep track of it. I think it's important to do at some point, especially if you don't always feel great. So if you're like, I don't want to track that, I don't want to measure, I don't want to count every time how many ounces I'm drinking, what are some other ways that we can keep track of that? And the simplest answer is, if you're thirsty, drink something. And if you're not, you probably don't need anything. And when I'm talking about drinking something, I mean legitimate water, not soda or anything super sugary. We'll talk about coffee in a minute, but really just water. If you're thirsty, drink. If not, then you're probably fine. The article I read recently talked about like, hey, my dog doesn't like count how much ounces he's drinking in a day, and he's perfectly fine, right? When he's thirsty, he goes over and drinks from the water bowl, and when he's not, he just goes lays down, right? So
Yeah.
if it works for them at an evolutionary level, it's going to work for you. So that's one way to track it, is just gauging your thirst level. The other way is tracking your urine, right? Every time you go to the bathroom, take a peek. For guys, it's a lot easier, right? You don't need to do any extra work. But taking a look and looking, hey, is it clear, or is it really kind of dark? If it's really dark, right, especially since it gets diluted a little bit from the water that's already in the bowl, you probably need more water. right? So those are two kind of simple ways of things you're already going to be doing anyway or feeling to keep track of, am I drinking enough water? Do you have anything to add on that portion?
Yeah, you mentioned it right at the beginning of that water helps us regulate our temperature, our body, and we tend to, we started this challenge right in the dead of winter, basically. We tend to drink less in the winter because, oh, it's cold outside. I don't need as much. I'm not sweating as
Mm,
much. But that's kind of a false mentality that, right, yeah, you're not sweating as much, but that your body is still needing that water to regulate yourself. So even in winter, you should be, maybe you're not drinking as much as you might in the summer because you're not as thirsty, you're not sweating, but you still should be focusing on drinking water. And I normally don't track it, but I do have my little notepad here that I've been tracking because I want to stay on top of our leaderboard in the school community. I'm a competitor. And you mentioned that we shouldn't be just drinking like 60 ounces right at the beginning of the day. That is actually what I kind of tend to do. I've gone 12 hours typically when I wake up at 5 in the morning. I don't normally drink at things at night. I do have a tea steeping though for our coaching call right after this. Um, but I'll usually I drink 60 ounces before 7:30 in the morning. Like I drink
mm,
more water than most people before most people even wake up. I thought about this morning. And so, yeah, I do that because if I drink any water after like 5 or
mm.
6 at night, I end up getting up and going. I got an old man bladder, so that's just why I do it. But no, yeah, you mentioned a lot of great points, and um, you know, while the challenge this week, we're tracking our water consumption. What we really want to start talking about is building on the foundation of what we did last week. So, if you don't have any more on the water side of things, I know I want to get to the goal setting side of things. And go ahead. It looks
Yeah,
like
no,
you
the last
yeah.
thing is the coffee caffeine
Oh,
kind of
yeah, yeah.
debate, and we
Yep.
discussed this on, I forget if it was Tuesday or Thursday coaching call, but we talked about that, and I know it's a question I get a lot is, does having a cup of coffee counteract like equal amount of water, right? So the answer in short is no, it doesn't. Caffeine does have a dehydrating effect, but it's pretty negligible. So if you're having your cup of coffee, 10 or 12 ounces of coffee, it's still 10 or 12 ounces of water since it is mostly water. I forget what percentage. Somebody looked it up. It was like 1% or 0.1%
Yeah,
dissolved
98%
solids or something like that.
yeah, yeah,
So it's mostly water. So you're getting that. So the effect, even if you drink 10 ounces and the caffeine effect loses an ounce of that, you're still net 9 ounces of water in there. So
yeah,
I think that's the one thing that, like, don't cut out the coffee. Like if that's, or increase the coffee, right? Maybe that's going to get you your water intake. If whatever kind of starting point you need to get to, it's like what's the easiest next step I can take to get more water in. So
yeah,
don't let that be a deterrent. Now, the only caveat is, like, if you're having a ton of cream with your coffee or like one of those kind of sugary Starbucks drinks, like, okay, that's another topic. I'm talking black coffee with maybe a little bit of cream, a tablespoon of cream, or maybe if you have like almond milk with it or something like that. Like that would be
yeah.
the only caveat. But in general, coffee will not like counteract all of the water that you've been drinking.
Yeah, I tried drinking coffee. I don't like the flavor, the taste of coffee, but I know that there are certain health benefits to having a cup or 2 a day, and so I tried a while back, and I realized it took so much creamer for me to be able to, like, drink the coffee. I'm like, "This is not not I'm not drinking coffee," so I don't do it, but, um, excuse me. So talking about goal setting, we're going to talk really quickly because we're going to dive deeper into this in our coaching call immediately after this with our Facebook group and our school group. So we're talking about goal setting. This is building on the block that we started last week with our time and food audit. So the time and food audit was designed to kind of give us a picture of what we're doing during the day, what's kind of filling our day time wise, and then what's filling our mouth food wise and drink wise. And so when we're starting to talk about goals now, we're going to lean back on that coming up probably in the next week, and going, hey, where are our goals at? What am I really trying to accomplish? And where can I fit things in? What am I doing maybe during my day that isn't aligning with those goals? What am I putting into my mouth? Drinking and eating that isn't aligning with those goals. So a lot of the food things are going to be, you know, fitness, nutrition related, health and fitness related, right? Am I trying to lose weight? Maybe I shouldn't be drinking as many sugary drinks. Am I trying to put on weight, like put on muscle? Well, maybe I need to be eating more protein, right? So that's where the food audit is going to come in. But when we're talking about setting goals in fit fatherhood, we're really talking about three kind of main categories. Yes, we are fitness focused. We are trying to be healthier, stronger, more flexible so we can be here for a long time with our kids and with our loved ones. That's, our main kind of focus in fit fatherhood, but the kind of relative um, other two are our relationship with our spouse, wife, husband, and our relationships with our kids, spending time with those people. So these are the three areas, at least from me, I'm going to be focusing on when I'm setting goals here in the community. You can set goals for career, you can set goals for spirituality, you can set personal other goals like, hey, I want to read 100 books this year, right? But we're going to be talking about setting SMART goals. These are specific, measurable, actionable, are
Realistic.
relevant to what we know our life and what we're trying to
Mhm.
accomplish in our life. And one of the most important ones that gets left off a lot is the time sensitive. So it's not that I just want to lose weight. I want to lose 20 pounds. It's not that I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to lose 20 pounds by March 31st. Right. And so being very specific about the goals that we're trying to set and being very and putting a time date on them is very important for us to be able to actually hit the goals. I don't want to set a goal that's 5 years from now that I can accomplish in 3 months, but I also don't want to set a goal that for 3 months from now that should really take me a year to accomplish. So is it reasonable for me to lose 50 pounds in 3 months? Not healthily, right? Is it reasonable for me to lose 50 pounds in 10 years? Yeah, it is reasonable, but it's unrealistic in the other direction, right? So this is something that we're going to go into the coaching call here and discuss with our community and our groups, because we want to make sure that we're helping you guys through to set these goals. And it's not just the goal that we're saying, I want to lose 20 pounds. The real actual goal is the actions that's going to take to lose that 20 pounds. And I just use the losing 20 pounds. That's something that we can always all kind of wrap our heads around. But in order for me to lose 20 pounds, what's my actual goal? Go out and walk 20 minutes a day. Go to the gym 4 times a week. Consume less sugary drinks, like only drink one sugary drink a day if I'm drinking 3 drinks a day, right? So the goal, the 20 pounds, is a direction on our compass. Essentially the action plan is what we're doing, is the actual directions on the map. So I tried to make that as quick as possible. And we've talked about goals, you know
That's
on
fun.
our channels before together. So if you want to go a little deeper into that, you could probably go back to those videos, but you can also just come join the call here in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that, Zach, before we?
No. Yeah, I think you hit everything pretty spot on. And I think part of the problems that I know I struggle with this too is like, what is realistic? Like, and is
Mm,
that 20 pounds and it depends on your situation too. It's an easy example, which is why Nathaniel used it, but it varies person to person, and it's not just a weight loss goal. Any goal varies person to person depending on where you're starting from or what's realistic. And that's where we're going to come in this coaching calls and just in general is like, let's have that conversation. Let's talk about what you're thinking, and then we can help guide you. Like let's move that timeline up, or let's push that timeline back, or let's tweak this. Like, it's good to have somebody guide you and help you through
yeah.
that. So that's what we want to provide, is that kind of sounding board on like, hey, I think this is what I want to do. All right, cool. Like, let's dial it in. Now, not only did we help you do that, but we can hold you accountable to it too. So that's kind of the whole point of what we're doing here, how we want to help. So definitely, if you haven't, your dad, come and join the Facebook group, the school community. Two great places. The Facebook group is free. We'll post as much free content and try to provide as much value in that aspect. The school community, you just get that extra accountability. You get the coffee hours on Fridays. That is just kind of like no agenda. Just come and hang out. A bunch of dads hanging out. We have all sorts of conversations covering all topics. And yeah, other than that, hope to see you guys in the coaching call. Oh, also, I'm hosting a webinar on
Oh yeah.
7:30 on Thursday. It's going to be a half hour, 20 minutes, just 3 steps to kind of reset your health. We'll dive into some of this stuff we'll have touched on already, but a lot of it will be good information. You should be able to take that, and if you wanted to, start implementing it right away. But yeah, otherwise, hope to see you in the coaching call. Otherwise, have a good night, Nathaniel.
Yeah, if you don't have access to that coaching call, you got to go to the Facebook group. The link is in there for you to join that coaching call. So go to Fit Fatherhood, a community for busy dads taking control of their health, something along those lines. Oh, it's down here in the thing. It's down here in our ticker. See, look at that. We thought of it. All right. I appreciate y'all for being here live with us on the podcast. We'll see you in the coaching call.